In the year the sky cracked open, humanity chose to rise. In the year 2149, the world believed it had already seen every strange thing the universe could offer. People had survived storms that erased whole coastlines, droughts that reshaped nations, and wars that reshaped hearts. Humanity had become used to living on the edge, always watching the sky for signs of hope or danger. But no one expected the sky to actually break. It happened on a warm evening in June. The sun was just beginning to sink, turning the clouds orange and gold, when a thin, glowing line appeared across the firmament. At first, people thought it was a strange aurora or a rare atmospheric effect. But the line grew brighter, wider, and louder. It shone like a blade slicing through the heavens, humming with a sound no one had ever heard. Like metal bending, like a giant exhaling. Then the light exploded. The sky split open. A long, jagged crack stretched from horizon to horizon, glowing like molten glass. The clouds were dragged toward it, curling inward as if pulled by an invisible force. Birds scattered in every direction. Cars stopped on highways. People ran out into the streets, staring upward with mouths open, their bodies trembling. And through the crack, something stirred, something vast, ancient, and unknown. The world held its breath. That moment was the beginning of everything that followed. The fear, the chaos, the silence, and finally, the rise of a new humanity. The year the sky cracked open was the year everything changed. The story begins in New Avalon, a city built on old ruins. It was a place of bright towers, floating trains, and screens that covered entire buildings. But beneath the shining lights, people were tired. They worried about power shortages, strange weather patterns, and the growing divide between the rich and the poor. Among them was Orrin Hale, a 22-year-old mechanic who spent most of her days repairing drones and energy bikes. She lived in a small apartment above her workshop. Life for her was simple: wake up, work, eat, sleep, until the day everything fell apart. Orrin was repairing a delivery drone when she felt the whole building shiver. The windows rattled, and tools fell off the shelves. She rushed outside, wiping oil from her hands. The sky was glowing. The crack was already half-formed, pulsing with white light. People were screaming, pointing upward. Orrin felt her heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst. For a moment, she thought it was a dream, something unreal that her tired eyes had invented. But when the crack widened and a roaring sound filled the air, she knew it was real. All across the city, lights flickered. Power lines burst. Holograms died mid-broadcast. The sky crack felt like a living thing, moving, stretching, breathing. Orrin staggered backward until she hit a wall. Her legs trembled. She could hear her neighbor shouting, "What is happening? What is that thing?" And all she could whisper was, "I don't know." Then everything went dark. When the power died across half the world, governments called it a temporary global blackout. But it was more than that. The crack in the sky was still glowing, but the sound had stopped. The world fell into a strange silence, like the earth itself was listening for something. Orrin woke in the dark. Her workshop was quiet. Outside, the city that once sparkled with neon was now only shadows and silhouettes. She grabbed a flashlight and stepped outside where people were gathered in the streets, whispering to one another, afraid to speak loudly. No planes flew overhead. No drones buzzed. The usual hum of the city had vanished. The only thing that glowed was the crack. Within hours, news screens flickered to life again, powered by emergency satellites. Scientists appeared on broadcasts with grim expressions. They called the phenomenon the ether rift. They claimed it was not a natural event. They also said it was not an attack. In truth, they did not know what it was. But they all agreed on one thing: something was coming through. Orrin spent the night on her rooftop, watching the rift shimmer. She felt drawn to it, as if a hidden part of her recognized it. The light falling from the rift softened her features and made her eyes reflect the sky's strange glow. She whispered, "Why do I feel like you're calling me?" But the sky gave no answer. 3 days after the rift appeared, the first visitors arrived. At first, they were only shadows, moving behind the crack like giants passing by a window. They were impossible to fully see, only their silhouettes, tall and thin with sweeping shapes like wings or sails. Some people panicked. Others prayed. Others simply stared. Then, pieces of shimmering dust began to fall from the rift. The dust was harmless at first, drifting like snow and glowing faintly in the dark. Children played in it. People filmed it. Scientists tried to study it. But when the dust touched technology, It caused strange reactions. Machines flickered, screens froze, drones fell from the sky. The dust reacted to energy, almost like it was alive. Governments ordered people indoors, but by then, the dust had spread across continents. Oren watched the dust swirl around her workshop. She wore a mask and gloves as she swept it away, but she noticed something strange. When the dust touched her skin, it tingled like a spark, but did not harm her. She didn't know it yet, but the dust was changing her. It was changing countless others too. The visitors had not yet stepped through the rift, but they were already touching the world. A week after the sky cracked, people began to experience something unbelievable. Some could hear faint voices when they slept. Some dreamed of places they had never seen. Ancient temples, vast oceans of stars, floating cities made of crystal. Some, like Oren, felt a growing warmth in their chest, like a second heartbeat. Doctors called it stress. Scientists said it was hallucination. Officials said it was mass psychological response. But the truth was far stranger. Oren woke up one morning with a strange sensation in her hands. When she moved her fingers, tiny sparks of light followed her fingertips, brief, faint, and impossible. She gasped and stepped back, staring at her hands. "What's happening to me?" she whispered. But deep inside, she knew the answer. The dust was changing human biology. It was altering energy pathways in the body, awakening something long dormant. Humanity was evolving. And the visitors hadn't even arrived yet. The rift pulsed like a beating heart. Crowds gathered in cities around the world. Cameras pointed upward. Governments prepared defense units. Everyone waited. Then the rift rippled like water, and a shape stepped through. It was tall, almost 4 meters, with skin like liquid silver. Its body was thin and graceful, its limbs long and elegant. Its face was smooth, with eyes that glowed faint white. The visitor raised one hand, and the air trembled. Not with danger, but with calm. And when it spoke, its voice wasn't a sound but a feeling, warm, soft, echoing inside every person's mind. "We did not come to conquer," the voice said. "We came because your world is breaking." All around the world, people froze. The visitor looked at humanity and said, "Rise, or fall. The choice is yours." The silver visitor stood beneath the torn sky like a quiet storm. People stared in awe and fear. Every device that tried to scan it failed instantly, as if the creature's very presence twisted the rules of physics. The visitor slowly lowered its hand. Its glowing eyes swept across the crowd, not with anger but with a strange, almost fragile understanding. Oren, watching from a rooftop with thousands of others, felt something stir inside her. The warmth in her chest pulsed harder, almost painfully. She pressed a hand over her heart. The visitor seemed to notice her from miles away. Its head tilted softly, and Oren felt a voice whisper inside her mind. "You hear us?" She stumbled backward in shock. No one around her reacted. They hadn't heard it. Someone beside Oren whispered, "Do they speak English?" As if answering, the visitor finally spoke out loud in a voice that echoed like wind passing through stone. "I am Lumia, a seer of the Etherborn," it said. "We crossed through the rift because your world called us. A wound grows at the heart of this sky. And the wound will spread." People murmured. Some shouted questions. Others panicked. Lumia raised a hand again, not threatening, only to calm the chaos. "You are not dying," it said gently. "You are awakening. The dust that falls is a catalyst. It unlocks what was silent in you for ages. We did not create it. The rift did." Oren felt that warmth in her chest glow brighter. Lumia continued. "You must rise with us, or fall alone. The choice is before you." But humanity did what it always did when faced with the unknown. It split. Governments argued. Nations accused each other of creating the rift. Scientists fought over theories. Religious groups declared the visitors angels or demons. Some people knelt and worshipped the falling dust. Others hid indoors, refusing to breathe the air. In 1 week, half the world was terrified. Rumors spread everywhere. That the dust was poison. That the visitors wanted to enslave humanity. That the world was ending. That the crack would swallow the moon. Oren watched the news in frustration. She had seen Lumia's gentle manner. She had felt its voice inside her head, not controlling, only reaching. But people feared what they did not understand. Meanwhile, more symptoms appeared across the population. Some people developed heightened senses. Some could sense electrical fields. Some, like Orin, began to glow faintly when stressed. Hospitals filled with confused citizens. No one knew how to treat something the world had never seen. For the first time in her life, Orin felt something greater than fear, responsibility. She needed answers. Orin joined a volunteer group called the Skywatchers, an organization formed by scientists and civilians who wanted to understand the rift without falling into panic. Their headquarters was in a repurposed school building. People of all ages filled the hallways: researchers, students, workers, and ordinary citizens who simply wanted to help. Dr. Mara Quinn, a respected astrophysicist, welcomed Orin. "Another volunteer?" the scientist asked, pushing her glasses up. She looked exhausted but hopeful. Orin nodded. "I want to understand what's happening. I think something is happening to me because of the dust." Dr. Quinn didn't look surprised. "That makes you one of many. Come." She led Orin into a lab filled with glowing dust samples inside glass containers. The dust seemed to shift and swirl as if aware of its surroundings. "We believe the dust is a form of energetic matter," Dr. Quinn explained. "It interacts with biological systems. But some people react far more strongly than others." Orin hesitated before saying, "Sometimes I feel like I can hear something. Like a voice." Dr. Quinn froze. "A voice?" Orin nodded. "Not loud. Just inside." The scientist slowly stepped back. "Orin, you might be one of the resonants." "Resonance?" Orin asked. "A term we use for people whose bodies are responding dramatically to the dust. We've identified 50 so far. You may be 51. Orin's heart pounded. "What does that mean?" "It means you might be able to understand the visitors," Dr. Quinn said softly. "Maybe even communicate with them." Orin swallowed hard. A part of her, deep and instinctive, already knew. That night, while the city slept, the rift expanded. A deep rumble vibrated through the atmosphere. Orin jolted upright from her bed. Windows across the city shook. The crack in the sky pulsed brighter than ever. A second figure stepped through. This one was different from Lumia. Taller, its body more angular, with glowing blue patterns across its skin. Its presence felt heavier, like storm clouds gathering before lightning. People across New Avalon rushed outside as alarms blared. The newcomer raised its arms, and the ground shook under Orin's feet. Lumia appeared beside it, having descended silently from the sky. The two spoke in a language of light and vibration. No human could understand it. Orin felt a faint pulse in her chest again. That same warm glow. Her fingertips tingled. Without fully understanding why, she whispered, "They are arguing." She didn't know how she knew. She just did. Then the second visitor pointed toward the city, and its eyes flashed bright blue. The air rippled, sending shockwaves across rooftops. People screamed. Buildings rattled. Lumia stepped forward, trying to calm the other being. Orin watched with rising dread. Then, without warning, the second visitor struck the ground with its fist, sending a violent wave through the streets. Orin was thrown back. Cars flipped. Windows shattered. Lumia blocked the worst of the blast, but couldn't stop it all. The newcomer's voice thundered inside every human mind. "This world cannot rise. It is too weak." Orin gasped. She felt the voice like a knife inside her thoughts. Lumia replied sharply. "You are wrong. Do not judge them by their past." The newcomer's reply was cold. "Then prove they can rise. Or I will end this world before the rift consumes it." And with that, it flew back into the crack of the sky. The world was shaken. People demanded answers. Governments panicked. But no one had the power to do anything except wait. Lumia stayed, standing silently on a platform built by engineers who trusted it. When reporters asked what the second visitor wanted, Lumia answered simply, "The Etherborn do not agree on your fate. Some wish to guide you. Others wish to abandon you." Orin stepped forward, standing among the crowd. Her voice trembled as she asked, "Why did the other one call us weak?" Lumia looked at her with its glowing eyes. "Because," it paused, searching for the right words, "your world is fractured. Divided. Afraid." "But," Lumia continued, "you can change. You can choose to rise." "How?" Orin asked, though she already felt the answer inside her. Lumia lifted a hand toward the glowing sky crack. "By understanding the rift. By facing what comes next. By awakening your potential." Its eyes glowed gently. "And by finding those like you, resonance. You are not alone.
Orin's heart pounded.
The warmth inside her chest grew brighter. For the first time since the sky broke, she felt not fear, but purpose. Days passed, and the world's fear deepened. Earthquakes shook distant continents.
Strange lights flickered within the rift.
Some people began collapsing from sensory overload, the dust activating abilities too quickly for their bodies to handle. The Sky Watchers invited Orin to join a special research group. We need to know what makes the resonance different, Dr. Quinn explained as she walked Orin down a long hallway filled with softly humming machines. Some of you glow, some hear voices, some feel waves of energy.
We have no pattern yet.
Orin swallowed nervously. You want to test me? We want to understand you, Dr. Quinn corrected gently. And maybe keep you alive. She led Orin into a circular room with white walls, bright lights, and monitoring screens.
Several other people were already there.
They looked normal at first glance, but Orin sensed something different about them.
A tall man with green eyes nodded politely. His skin flickered with faint patterns like circuits.
A child with dark curly hair hovered a few inches off the floor without realizing it. A woman in a lab coat typed rapidly, her hands moving faster than any human should. Dr. Quinn gestured around the room.
These are resonants.
People changed by the dust.
Orin felt small, but also strangely connected to them.
Their presence made the glow in her chest react, almost awakening further.
The tests began.
They checked Orin's energy field, her blood, her neural patterns. Each test revealed the same result. Her body was interacting with the dust at a level higher than normal. At one point, they asked her to place her hand against a metal panel. When she did, the metal lit up.
Orin gasped and pulled her hand away.
I didn't mean to.
Dr. Quinn stared in awe. You conducted energy without burning yourself.
That's impossible. A deep, steady voice spoke behind Orin.
It is not impossible.
It is the beginning. She turned. Lumia stood in the doorway. Everyone froze as the tall, silver being stepped inside the lab. Light reflected softly off its skin. You are all changing, Lumia said. Not into us, but into something new. Something that belongs to your own species.
Orin's breath trembled. Why me?
Why us?
Lumia looked at each resonant.
Because you listened when the sky called. Later that night, Lumia met privately with Dr. Quinn and Orin on the rooftop of the Skywatchers building. Wind brushed past them as the rift shone brightly above, almost like a living wound. You said the world called to you, Dr. Quinn said.
How?
Lumia raised one long hand and pointed at the sky.
The rift is not merely a tear.
It is a signal. A cry for help sent across dimensions.
Dr. Quinn frowned.
Help from whom?
Lumia's voice grew softer.
From your planet.
Orin blinked.
Our planet. The energy fields of Earth are destabilizing, Lumia said.
Your atmosphere is thinning.
Your magnetic poles are weakening. Your planet is shouting for rescue, but its voice was silent to you until the rift amplified it.
Dr. Quinn's face paled. Are you saying Earth is dying?
Not dying, Lumia corrected, but collapsing toward transformation.
Orin shivered.
What kind of transformation?
Lumia's eyes glowed brighter. A cataclysm, unless you rise to stop it. Orin stared at the chilling glow in the sky.
She had always known something was wrong, even before the rift appeared. The storms, the shifting climates, the odd tremors.
But she never thought it was this severe. How do we stop it? She asked.
You cannot do it alone, Lumia said. You must unite. And you must learn what the rift truly is.
What is it? Orin asked. Lumia hesitated before answering. It is a doorway, the visitor finally said.
Open from the other side.
Dr. Quinn stiffened.
By who? By those who wish to test your world, Lumia said.
Some among my people believe you are ready to rise.
Others believe you will destroy yourselves.
Orin swallowed.
And if they decide we're too weak? Then the rift will be sealed with force, Lumia said quietly. And your world will be broken by the shock.
Orin felt dread settle in her chest.
Dr. Quinn whispered, so we're being judged.
Lumia nodded slowly. Yes. And time is running short.
The world had a choice, divide further or unite against the unknown.
Something unexpected happened.
For the first time in decades, leaders from rival nations agreed to meet. They gathered in New Avalon under the protection of a neutral safety force. The meeting was broadcast across every continent. Orin, Lumia, the Sky Watchers, even the Resonance, were invited to observe. The hall was enormous and bright, filled with delegates, scientists, advisors, and military officials. The air buzzed with tension. The president of the United Earth Council stood first. "Humanity is afraid," she said plainly. "But fear cannot guide us. The sky has cracked, yes, but perhaps it cracked open to give us a chance, not to end us." Another leader spoke. "We must work together. We cannot argue about borders when the threat comes from above." A third leader added, "We should listen to the visitor." Lumia stepped forward. "You must not fear the rift," it said. "But you must not ignore it either. It grows because time moves wrong in this place. Something pushes your world from the inside." Gasps filled the room. "From the inside?" the president asked. "Yes," Lumia replied. "A force beneath your oceans. Beneath your crust. A forgotten power stirring." Orin's heart skipped. "What power?" Lumia looked at her gently. "The ether engine." The scientists erupted into whispers. Dr. Quinn stiffened. That's a myth. Ancient stories talk about an engine under the sea that once kept the world stable. It's not real." "It is real," Lumia corrected softly. "And it is failing. Soon the rift will widen too much, and nothing will hold your world together." The hall fell silent. Then Orin did something no one expected. She stepped toward the world leaders and said, "If we have a chance to save the world, then let us try. Let us rise." Her voice echoed through the hall. Trembling, honest, but strong. The president looked at Orin, at the faint glow in her chest, at the courage in her eyes. "This young woman is right," the president said. "We have lived divided for too long. If the earth is calling to us, then we must answer." And so, in a single rare moment, the world agreed to work together. Humanity took its first step toward rising. A global mission was announced: find the ether engine, understand it, repair it, and stabilize the planet. A team needed to be chosen, a team capable of surviving unknown forces. Orin was selected immediately. Dr. Quinn joined as the lead scientist. Lumia volunteered as guide. But the team needed more. From the Resonance, 5 others were chosen. Kai, the tall man with circuit-like patterns on his skin, able to interface with machines effortlessly. Myra, the floating child, able to alter gravity around herself. Juno, the hyper-fast researcher who could think and react faster than computers. Rek, a former soldier whose resonant ability strengthened his body beyond normal limits. Tessa, a quiet girl who could sense emotional and energetic signals across long distances. Together, they formed the Ether Expedition Team. Orin looked at each of them, fear and hope mixing inside her. "We do this for the world," she said softly. Lumia nodded. "And for those who will come after. The future depends on your rise." The team was flown to the coast where enormous waves rolled under a bruised purple sky. The ocean roared louder than normal, as if something deep below was moving. A giant submersible waited for them. The Solaris, a vessel designed for extreme depths. Orin stared at it, nervous. Dr. Quinn touched her shoulder. "You don't have to go if." Orin shook her head firmly. "I do." Lumia stepped aboard first, its silver form glowing against the metallic walls. Orin took a deep breath, followed by the rest of the team. As the Solaris dove beneath the surface, the water darkened. The sky vanished above them. Orin felt the warmth in her chest pulse again. The journey to the heart of the world had begun. And somewhere deep below, something ancient stirred. The Solaris continued its descent into the darkening ocean. The surface light faded quickly, swallowed by endless layers of blue and black. The hum of the submersible echoed through the metal walls. Orin pressed her hand against the glass window. All she saw was darkness, until faint specks of light flickered like stars. "Bioluminescent plankton," Dr. Quinn explained. "Even in fear, nature adapts." Kai studied the glowing specks with interest. Their patterns, they matched the energy readings of the rift. Orin frowned. "So even the ocean feels the change." "It's not just the ocean," Lumia said quietly. "The entire planet is shifting toward resonance. You call it evolution. We call it awakening." The child, Myra, floated slightly above her seat, her feet not touching the floor. "I feel it," she murmured. "Something calling. Deep down." Orin felt the same. A warm pulse in her chest, like a gentle heartbeat guiding her downward. Rek, the former soldier, checked his equipment. How deep is this engine supposed to be?
Dr. Quinn sighed.
If ancient texts are correct, deeper than any human has gone. Beyond the tectonic plates. Almost in the mantle itself. The pressure alone should crush us, Tessa whispered.
Kai smiled faintly.
Unless the engine creates a protective field.
Lumia nodded.
It does.
Or it did.
We will know soon. The Solaris continued down until the sensors beeped. We've reached the abyssal line, the pilot announced. Below this point, almost nothing was known. Not even machines survived long. Orin pressed her palm to her heart as the glow inside her grew stronger. She whispered, "We're close." A sudden tremor shook the Solaris. Lights flickered. Alarms blared. What was that? Rek shouted. Seismic activity.
Dr. Quinn replied. But not natural. It's directional.
Something is pushing. Before she finished, the ocean outside lit up with a violent blue flash. A chasm appeared in the seafloor, splitting open like a second sky crack, except this one glowed from below.
Orin gasped.
Another rift.
Tessa held her head.
No, it's connected to the one in the sky. Like a reflection. Two sides of the same tear, Lumia confirmed. The chasm widened, releasing spirals of bright blue energy into the water. Strange currents twisted around the Solaris, pulling the vessel toward the opening. We're being dragged in, the pilot yelled. Let it, Lumia instructed calmly. The others stared at the visitor in disbelief.
Dr. Quinn shook her head.
You're suggesting we enter that thing? It is the path to the engine, Lumia said. There is no other way. The ship groaned as the currents tightened their grip. Orin closed her eyes, trusting the warmth inside her. It's okay, she whispered. It's guiding us. The Solaris was pulled deeper, the abyss swallowing them whole inside the chasm. Everything changed. Blue and white lights filled the water, moving like rivers of energy. The pressure on the Solaris decreased suddenly. Kai stared at the monitors in disbelief. This shouldn't be possible. The pressure is dropping, almost like something is protecting us. The engine, Lumia said. It senses us. The deeper they went, the more alive the ocean felt. Strange creatures swam past, transparent, glowing beings shaped like ribbons, serpents, and drifting lanterns. Tessa whispered, "They are not afraid of us." Orin smiled slightly. "They are resonating." For a moment, the darkness felt beautiful. But then the beauty shifted. The lights dimmed. The water trembled. The glowing creatures scattered. Orin felt dread wash over her chest. Something enormous was approaching. The monitors flickered. A shadow appeared, massive, formless, rippling like a living cloud. What is that? Rek breathed. Lumia stepped forward. A rift beast. Formed from unstable energy. It should not exist here. The creature moved closer, its shape bending and twisting the water around it, absorbing light and emitting low, rumbling sounds. Myra trembled. It's angry. Kai's fingers danced across the controls. We need to dodge it. If it hits us. The beast lunged. The water turned into a violent wave. The Solaris spun helplessly. Orin slammed into the wall. Her chest glowed brighter, too bright, burning with heat. Lumia shouted, "Orin, focus your resonance." I don't know how. She gripped her chest as the warmth inside her flooded outward. Her skin sparkled with tiny streaks of light. The beast roared and lunged again. The Solaris tilted dangerously. Everyone held on. Orin stepped forward, shaking. She placed her glowing hand against the glass window. "Stop," she whispered. To her shock, light burst from her palm, shooting through the glass without breaking it, spreading through the water like a wave. The rift beast froze. It trembled, then slowly backed away, dissolving into harmless particles of blue dust. Everyone stared at Orin, wide-eyed and breathless. Dr. Quinn whispered, "You just saved us."
Lumia nodded. She did not destroy it. She purified it.
That is the strength of a resonant.
Orin's knees buckled. Rek caught her before she fell.
Orin whispered weakly, "I didn't know I could do that." "You are learning," Lumia said gently. "And you will need that strength soon." After hours of descending through glowing currents, the chasm opened into a vast underwater cavern. The Solaris stopped. Everyone stared through the windows in awe. Floating in the center of the cavern, Suspended by beams of blue energy was a massive spherical structure, ancient, metallic, covered in glowing symbols. It pulsed with rhythmic light, almost like a heartbeat. Dr. Quinn breathed. The ether engine.
It is alive, Kai whispered. Orin felt tears well in her eyes.
The warmth in her chest resonated with the engine's glow, perfectly in sync.
It's calling to me, Orin whispered.
It's calling to all of you, Lumia said. But Orin, your connection is strongest. As they approached, the engine's glow dimmed. The cavern trembled. It's failing, Dr. Quinn said urgently. We need to stabilize it.
How? Rek shouted. Kai studied the patterns.
We need to activate the energy conduits, 3 of them. But they are too far apart, Myra said.
We can't reach all 3 in time.
Yes, we can, Orin said quietly. Everyone turned to her. Orin's glow had spread across her body, her eyes shining faintly. She closed her eyes and felt the engine's pulse and the resonance around her. She whispered, "We can do it together." Lumia placed a hand on her shoulder. "This is your moment to rise." The Solaris docked near the engine. Platforms extended outward, allowing the team to step into the cavern, protected by the engine's energy field. The place felt ancient, sacred, alive. The team split into 3 groups.
Orin and Lumia toward the upper conduit.
Kai and Juno toward the mechanical core. Rek, Tessa, and Myra toward the lower conduit. Each path glowed with faint, unstable energy. The ground shook with every heartbeat of the engine. Orin reached the upper conduit, a giant circular panel covered in glowing symbols.
"It wants energy," Lumia said.
"Your energy."
Orin touched the panel. Light flared.
The engine pulsed stronger. At the same moment, Kai connected his hands to the mechanical core. Circuit-like patterns on his skin glowed as data flowed through him. Juno moved so fast she was a blur, stabilizing the connections. Below, Rek used brute strength to manually shift a stuck energy valve while Tessa guided him with emotional sensing. Myra floated above them, redirecting gravity to lift heavy machinery.
It was working.
The engine glowed brighter. The cavern steadied. Orin smiled, hope rising in her chest.
"We're doing it," she shouted.
But then, a violent pulse of energy surged from the engine, knocking everyone backward.
The cavern roared.
The engine flickered. Tessa screamed, "Something is resisting us." Orin felt it too. A dark force, inside the engine.
Alive. Awake. And angry.
The light dimmed. The cavern trembled. The ether engine was not just failing. It was fighting. By the next morning, the world had changed again.
The light in the sky grew brighter and more organized. It no longer flickered like broken fire.
It moved with purpose, flowing in long and steady waves.
Many people believed this meant the rift was now fully awake.
And if it was awake, they feared it might soon open completely.
Amina did not sleep much during the night.
Her mind was full of questions, about the rift, about the message she heard, and about the strange feeling in her chest that still burned gently like a fading spark. When she stepped outside, she found her parents staring at the sky, silent and nervous. Everyone in the neighborhood was doing the same.
But Amina felt something different.
The message she heard said the sky was not breaking.
It was revealing.
And now, as the light changed its shape, she wondered if this was the beginning of the revelation. Across the world, cameras, scientists, and ordinary people captured the shifting patterns of the light. When the wave paused for a moment, someone noticed something strange. The light was forming the shape of a map.
It was not a map of Earth. It was a map of the stars.
A giant star map was being drawn across the atmosphere, each glowing line connecting to another, forming constellations that did not exist in human catalogs.
Astronomers were shocked.
They compared the patterns with databases, but the matches were too few.
Most of the stars had never been recorded.
But Amina recognized one part of the pattern instantly, the same cluster she had seen from the tower, the same cluster that pulsed when she touched the stone.
Her heart jumped.
The rift was showing the entire world what she had seen.
Scientists called it the map of light.
They believed it was a message or a warning, but no one could explain how it appeared in the atmosphere or why it behaved like a living being that afternoon. When Amina touched the smooth stone again, the voice returned.
But this time it was clearer.
"You are learning to listen." The words echoed inside her head and spread through her body. She closed her eyes, feeling the warmth grow stronger.
"What is the map?" she whispered.
The answer came in slow waves.
A path. A memory.
A record of what came before your world was made.
A chill crept down her spine.
Why show it to us? She asked softly. This time, the answer was heavier. So you will understand what is coming.
Amina's hands shook. What is coming? She whispered. But the voice only replied. A choice.
The light faded.
The stone cooled.
Amina opened her eyes with a feeling she could not name. Fear mixed with responsibility, confusion mixed with courage. Different parts of the world responded differently.
Some people saw the map of light as a threat. Some saw it as a miracle.
Some blamed other nations.
Some called it magic or destiny. Governments scrambled to communicate. Scientists tried to decode the patterns.
Religious leaders delivered urgent speeches. Panic tried to rise again, but something new happened that surprised everyone. The people did not fall into chaos. Instead, they formed groups, shared information, and organized calm gatherings in public squares where they watched the sky together. For the first time in decades, nations began to cooperate closely, sharing data and resources. Even ordinary people talked to each other with less fear and more curiosity. Amina watched all of this in awe. Somehow, the rift in the sky was bringing humanity closer instead of tearing it apart. That night, as billions of people looked up again, the map of light shifted for the first time. One cluster of stars, Amina's cluster, brightened and expanded. A narrow glowing line stretched outward from it, as if pointing to something just beyond the sky. The world held its breath. A soft vibration rolled across the land, too gentle to be an earthquake. It felt more like a hum, like the sky itself was speaking through the air. And then, one final change appeared. A circle of light formed around Amina's star cluster. A perfect, shining ring. People everywhere saw it. People everywhere felt it. But only Amina understood why. She heard the message once more. The circle is your beginning. And your test. Her breath caught. What test? What beginning? Before she could ask, the light faded again. For the first time in history, humanity realized that whatever was happening in the sky was not random, not natural, and not human-made. Someone, or something, was communicating. And the world, finally, began to listen with unity. Amina stood on her rooftop, the quiet town below her, the glowing sky above her, and a strange certainty in her heart. Humanity was standing at the edge of something vast and life-changing. Something older than Earth itself. Something that demanded courage. Something that demanded choice. And she was somehow connected to the heart of it all. She did not know what the test was. She did not know what the rift wanted. But she knew one thing clearly. The sky had cracked open. And humanity was preparing to rise. The next morning, the sky looked different again. The great map of light was still there, but the circle around Amina's star cluster glowed brighter than everything else. It pulsed softly, almost like a heartbeat. The pulses came every few seconds, spreading gentle waves of brightness across the sky. Scientists tried to measure the light patterns. They studied the timing, the heat levels, and the strange vibrations that followed each pulse. But no matter how much they analyzed, they could not understand the meaning behind it. But Amina did. Every pulse felt like a calling. Every wave of brightness felt like an invitation. She sensed it in the stone she carried in her pocket. Each time the sky pulsed, the stone warmed just a little, as if reacting to the light. It felt alive. By noon, a group of government scientists arrived in Amina's town. They had heard her name through local reports after she fainted by the hill tower during the first great light wave. They wanted to speak with her and her family. Amina sat nervously at the living room table. Her mother stayed close, her hand resting gently on Amina's shoulder. The scientists asked many questions: what Amina saw, what she felt, what she remembered. She answered honestly, though she did not mention the voice in her head. She was afraid they might think she was imagining things. But she did mention the warmth, the light, and the strange connection she felt when looking at the star cluster. The scientists listened carefully. All of them, except one. A man named Dr. Hale stared at her with intense curiosity. His eyes were sharp, as if he already believed there was more to her story. He did not interrupt her, but he wrote notes faster than the others. When the questions ended, the scientists asked if they could take her to a research center for further tests. Her mother refused immediately. Her father agreed even more firmly. Amina stayed silent. Part of her wanted to go. Part of her was terrified. Part of her felt that she was being pulled into something far bigger than she could understand. In the end, the scientists left peacefully, But Dr. Hale gave Amina a long look before stepping outside. That evening, Amina walked to the roof again.
She needed air.
She needed space. Her thoughts were tangled like threads of light twisting in the sky. As she looked up, the pulsing circle brightened once more.
Her stone warmed instantly. And then the voice returned.
You cannot hide from what you are meant to become.
Amina's breath caught.
What am I meant to become? She whispered. A bridge.
The answer was both simple and impossible. A bridge to what? She asked. To what rises? A cold wind passed by.
Amina shivered even though the air was warm.
Why me? She whispered. This time, the voice paused.
It felt as though it was choosing its words.
Because you listen. Because you feel.
Because you are already connected.
Amina pressed her hand over her heart. The warmth inside her chest flared again, stronger now.
The voice faded slowly, leaving her breathless. Later that night, something happened that shocked the entire world.
The map of light moved again. Not just a small shift. The entire sky changed.
The constellations bent and stretched, forming new shapes.
Lines connected and disconnected.
Certain stars brightened while others dimmed. But the circle around Amina's cluster remained the brightest point, glowing like a burning ring. People across the world shouted as they saw the map rearranging itself. Scientists scrambled, news channels panicked, and world leaders demanded explanations.
But no one understood what was happening.
Then, the circle released a thin beam of light. A single glowing line shot downward, stretching from the sky to the ground like a shimmering path.
It did not touch everywhere. It touched only one place.
The hills near Amina's town. The moment the beam appeared, every camera on Earth turned to follow it.
Satellites zoomed in.
Helicopters raced toward the hills. People everywhere watched in silence as the beam of light hovered gently above the land. Amina felt the warmth in her chest spread across her entire body.
She knew. She knew the beam was meant for her. She knew this was the choice the voice had spoken of. She knew the test had begun. Her legs trembled.
Her eyes stung with fear. And yet, she stepped forward. She walked down the roof stairs, across her yard, and toward the hills.
People shouted after her. Her parents called her name. But she kept walking. She was terrified.
But she was also ready. When Amina reached the base of the hill, the beam brightened so suddenly that the ground around her glowed white. The air felt warm and soft, like a gentle blanket.
She stepped into the beam.
For a moment, she felt nothing.
Then everything changed. The world around her disappeared. The noise of the town vanished.
The wind fell silent.
Amina stood in a place of pure light.
Not sky, not ground, not space.
But something in between. Shapes moved around her like drifting sparks. Shadows of stars. Whispers of energy.
A strange calm washed through her. And then the light formed a shape in front of her.
Something tall, gentle, and glowing. Not a person. Not an alien. Something different. Something ancient. Amina's voice trembled as she asked.
What are you?
And the shape replied with a soft echo.
We are what came before your sky. And we are here because you must rise.
Amina gasped.
The shape leaned closer, its light pulsing like a slow heartbeat.
Your world is not ending. It is beginning. Amina felt her heart race. She did not understand. Not yet. But she knew the truth. This was only the first step into the unknown.
And humanity's greatest test was just beginning. Amina stood in the glowing space, surrounded by light that felt alive. The tall, gentle figure in front of her continued to pulse softly, as if breathing. She felt small, yet strangely calm, like she had finally stepped into the place she had been walking toward her whole life.
She swallowed nervously.
What do you mean, our world is beginning? The figure flickered gently, like a flame speaking through brightness. Your sky cracked open to reveal what lies beyond the veil.
What you see is not destruction.
It is awakening.
Amina took a shaky breath. But why now?
Why show us all this?
Because the silence has ended. Because your kind has reached the threshold.
Because you are ready to know.
Amina shook her head slowly.
We don't feel ready.
People are scared. They think this is the end. The figure's voice softened. Fear is the first light of understanding.
Your species feels fear when it stands before truth.
Amina closed her eyes for a moment.
She wished she could believe she was brave enough for all this. She wished humanity was strong enough. When she opened her eyes again, the figure extended a hand of pure light toward her. We will show you. A bright wave spread across the glowing space, and suddenly Amina saw images forming around her like windows in the air. She watched as stars were born in bursts of fire, whole galaxies spinning like giant lanterns. She saw ancient worlds rising from dust and becoming homes to strange and beautiful life forms. She saw civilizations built from light, creatures that lived among stars, and cities floating over oceans of color. Then she saw destruction, worlds falling apart, skies collapsing, and suns losing their breath.
Her heart tightened. "What is this?" she whispered.
"The history of the universe," the figure answered, "and the fate of every world that came before yours."
Yet the images kept shifting.
Now she saw Earth, the early oceans, the mountains, the first forests, the first living creatures. She saw humans rising from small beginnings, learning, struggling, discovering, creating, and destroying. The light dimmed as the images faded. Amina trembled. "Why are you showing me this?"
The figure replied,
"Because every world reaches a moment where it must choose what it wants to become. Your world has reached that moment now."
Amina's voice felt thin.
"What choice?"
The figure's glow deepened.
"The choice to rise,
or to collapse under your own fear."
Amina felt cold despite the warmth of the light. "Are you saying we're in danger?"
The figure paused. "Not from us. Not from the sky. From yourselves."
Amina felt her chest tighten.
"We've always hurt each other," she said quietly. "We argue, we fight, we divide.
Maybe we're not ready for whatever this is." The figure stepped closer, its light soft and comforting. "Yet when the sky cracked open, your world did not fall into chaos.
You united. You listened.
You reached for hope instead of destruction."
Amina's eyes widened. It was true. She had seen it. People helping one another.
Nations sharing information. Fear turning slowly into curiosity. The figure's voice grew gentle. "You rose when the world expected you to fall."
Amina felt a tear roll down her cheek.
She wiped it quickly, embarrassed, but the figure's light only softened. "What do I have to do?" she whispered. The figure bent slightly, examining her with a warm, glowing gaze. "You carry a connection. A seed of resonance. It chose you when you touched the stone."
Amina reached instinctively into her pocket.
The stone was glowing brighter than ever, warm like a heartbeat. The figure continued. "This connection allows you to understand us.
To translate our light.
To guide your world through what comes next." Amina stumbled back slightly. "Guide the whole world?
Me?
I'm just a girl.
I get scared.
I make mistakes. I don't know anything about the universe." The figure's voice vibrated like a comforting wind. "Great journeys begin with those who are not perfect, but willing."
Amina looked down at the glowing stone.
It pulsed softly in her hand. It felt alive. It felt like it trusted her more than she trusted herself. Suddenly, the glowing space grew brighter. Stars appeared again in the air around her, forming the same pattern she had seen in the sky, the map of light.
But now she was inside it.
The circle around her star cluster glowed intensely.
The figure spoke. "You must help your world hear the truth.
You must help them see the path." Amina took a deep breath, trying to steady her thoughts.
"What is the path?" she asked softly.
The figure raised its hand, and all the stars in the glowing space turned toward her, shining like a single eye.
"The path to rising. The path to becoming more than what you are.
The path to joining the greater universe."
Amina felt frozen in awe. The figure finished. "Return to your world. Tell them what you have learned.
Tell them that the sky opened not to end them,
but to invite them." Amina swallowed. I'll try."
The figure bowed its shining head. "Trying is the first step of rising." The glowing space trembled softly. The stars dimmed. The warmth began to fade. Amina felt herself being pulled backward, as though carried by an invisible breeze. "Amina," the figure called, its voice echoing gently.
She looked up one last time.
"We are watching. We are waiting. And we believe in you."
Light swallowed everything. Amina gasped.
And found herself standing again at the base of the hill, the beam of light retreating upward into the sky like a disappearing ribbon.
Her legs shook. Her heart pounded.
The world around her was silent, breathless.
Watching. Every camera.
Every helicopter.
Every scientist. Every person. They had all seen her vanish.
They had all seen her reappear.
And now,
they waited for her to speak. Amina steadied herself, the glowing stone in her hand.
She took a deep breath. Because now she knew the truth.
And humanity was ready to hear it. Amina stood at the base of the hill, surrounded by silence. The beam of light had vanished into the sky. The glowing map of light hovered above the world like a living constellation. Billions of people watched through screens, satellites, drones, and cameras. Her town gathered nearby, frozen in confusion and awe.
Everyone looked at her. A girl who had disappeared into the light.
And returned with calm, steady eyes. Amina took one long breath. Her heart raced, but the warmth inside her chest kept her grounded. She still felt the presence of the glowing figure, as though the universe was standing at her back, encouraging her.
She held the stone tightly.
And she began to speak. "I'm okay," she said first, seeing the fear in her parents' faces. "I'm safe." Her mother burst into tears. Her father stood still, fighting his own.
But they listened.
Everyone listened.
Amina looked up at the sky.
"The light, the map, the voice, they are not here to destroy us," she said slowly, making sure she spoke clearly. "They are here because the universe is opening. Because we reached a moment where everything can change."
No one moved. She continued. "They showed me where we come from. They showed me what came before us. They said every world gets a choice. And now it's our time to choose."
A scientist near the cameras whispered, "Choose what?" Amina looked at him with calm, steady eyes. "To rise." The word echoed across the hill, across screens, across the world. At first, people were confused. Rising sounded like a dream, not a message. But as Amina kept speaking, her voice grew stronger. "The sky didn't crack open to bring the end," she said.
"It opened to show us the beginning.
To show us the universe waiting for us."
She lifted the glowing stone in her hand.
"And they said they believe in us." A wave of emotion rolled through the crowd.
Some cried.
Some stepped closer.
Some fell to their knees in relief.
For generations, humanity had believed it was alone.
Small. Limited. Trapped on one world.
Now, a child had returned from beyond the sky telling them they were part of something far greater. The world finds its voice. Before the sun set that day, the world began to change, truly change.
Scientists shared their discoveries freely.
Nations stopped accusing each other. People gathered in streets, parks, mosques, temples, churches, beaches, rooftops, everywhere they could look at the sky together. For the first time in recorded history, humanity acted not as countries, not as cities, not as tribes, but as one species, one voice, one heart.
Someone started calling it the Day of Unity. The name spread quickly.
Amina watched all of this from her home, exhausted but deeply calm.
She wasn't the leader of the world. She wasn't a chosen hero. She was simply the first who heard the message.
Now the world was listening too. That night, as billions of human beings looked upward with hope instead of fear, the map of light brightened. The star cluster Amina was connected to pulsed once, twice, 3 times.
Then, something new happened.
The ring around the cluster expanded slowly. Not breaking, not exploding, but unfolding.
Like a blooming flower.
A soft wave of shimmering blue spread across the sky. Everywhere on Earth, people gasped. Amina felt the stone burn warmly in her hand. And then a new message appeared in the sky, written not in words but in shapes, patterns, lines, spirals, and gentle movements of light. Scientists recorded it, children pointed at it, elders whispered prayers.
But Amina understood it instantly. It meant, "We see you. You have chosen hope.
Now we show you the way." Over the next days and nights, the sky continued its slow dance. The map of light shifted into diagrams, simple ones, full of gentle curves and glowing patterns. Engineers worked together to decode them.
Astronomers confirmed their meaning.
Physicists nodded in stunned agreement.
"This is not a weapon," they said. "This is not a threat.
It is a gift.
A map. A design. A guide.
A way to step beyond Earth's limits. A way to join the greater universe." Humanity had dreamed of such things for centuries, but now the sky itself offered the first steps.
Amina stayed close to her family.
She returned to school.
She spoke to world leaders through screens.
But she remained grounded, humble, clear.
She was not the savior. She was the messenger. The bridge.
Just as the light had said. One evening, after a long day of meetings and scientific briefings, Amina sat alone on her rooftop.
The sky glowed gently above her.
The stone pulsed softly in her hand. Then she heard the voice again, calm, warm, and filled with a kind of ancient kindness. You have done well.
Amina smiled softly. We're trying, she whispered.
Trying is rising.
Amina looked up. What happens next? She asked.
For a long moment,
the sky was quiet. Then the voice replied.
Now humanity walks its own path. But we will watch the light you create.
Amina felt tears gather in her eyes.
Will we meet you again?
A gentle pulse warmed her chest.
When your light reaches ours.
The map of light shimmered, then slowly began to fade. Not disappearing,
but settling into the sky like a new layer of stars that had always belonged there. The next morning, the world woke with purpose. Scientists built the first designs inspired by the map of light.
Children studied the stars with new curiosity.
Leaders spoke with unity instead of fear.
Humanity took its first steps toward rising. Amina walked outside and looked up. The sky was calm. The universe felt close. She closed her eyes and whispered,
We're ready.
And for the first time in history, Earth felt like a world preparing. Not to fight, not to fall, but to rise.